In this video, we're going to explore how to create a race bar. So if I refresh this, you can see here what is happening. It's changing very, very fast, and everything is moving nicely with it. So a race bar is basically a bar that will show you the very highest value at the top and the lowest value at the bottom. And as you can see here, it's starting to move consistently. Let me refresh one more time. Pay attention how fast it eventually goes. Of course, you can adjust the speed on this to follow along, and you can see here it increases here consistently as well. So let's start to explore how we can create this race bar right now. In this video, we're going to explore how to create a race bar chart in Chart.js, and that's absolutely exciting because the animation makes it very engaging. So let's start to explore how to do this right now. First of all, we're going to grab our default code, and our default code here is on chartjs3.com getting started. If you see this here, for some reason my Google Chrome is not working accordingly. If you are on Firefox, or when I'm on Firefox, it does work. And if you don't believe me, you can see here Vue.js is just giving me the same error. Why? I don't know so far, but I hope to figure it out soon. However, in here, if you go on this website, you can copy this chunk of code here. And if you get an error and you don't trust it, you can always go to another website or get your own code. That's no problem at all. So we have this code here, and basically we need this code, and if you want to understand what this code does, make sure you check out this specific video that will explain the JavaScript of it. So I'm going to paste this in here, and once I paste this in here, I'm going to cut out this, I'm going to paste this in here, Chartjs, alright, and then we save this and refresh. So now we have what we call our chart here, or bar chart. What I want to do, because that's with a race chart or race bar chart very common, is to have the item horizontally. So we have a horizontal bar chart. So let's convert this right now into a horizontal bar chart by using a specific value here. And then if I'm not mistaken, it should be called index axis. And then what we're going to do here is basically, what we're doing here is swapping it. So there will be here, this should be here, and these values here should be here. So we are swapping x with y. So the default is x, so we're going to say now index axis, the leading axis, will be y, and this of course begin at 0 will not work because we need to swap that. If we swap this one, we need to swap this as well. So we say here an x. So we save this here and refresh, and once we did this, we now have our horizontal bar. So now we have our horizontal bar chart. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start working on the code, and this code is basically has a certain items we need to understand. First of all, if we're going to work with a raised bar chart, we need to, what we call here, sort these items correctly. If we're going to sort them, what we want to do is not only to sort the item, but also make sure that the values, the color, the border color, and the labels are always aligned. So if this Sunday here, for example, jumps up because this is the highest value, that black color and the label Sunday should move and match accordingly. And of course, the one that moves down should match accordingly as well. So that means that we're going to do a lot of sorting structuring here. And to do that, we need to basically merge all of these four items. What I'm going to do, just for the sake of it, I'm going to use here an item. I'm going to create a constant here because this will be key for us. And I'm going to make this constant, I will just say constant label. And this label will be equal to this item here. And the only reason I want this is basically this, but I guess later on you can even remove that by just going, basically using the basic way. So I'm going to show you two ways for that, but this is probably easier for now. So let's go and work on the item here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to work with set interval. And basically set interval would mean to create an interval like a sequence, a time sequence, after how many seconds or milliseconds to be more precise, will the action be repeated. And that's basically what we're doing. So basically it's a set interval is a loop based on time. So we're going to say a set interval, and then we're going to create a function, and this function, we can give it any name. I'll just say update. It will update the data consistently. So in here we have this. What we want to do here is I'm going to say here, we put in here a comma, but then we say here, let's say every 1 second. So This is based on milliseconds. That would mean that 1000 equals 1 second. So if you want 10 seconds, it's 10,000 milliseconds. If you want 2 seconds, 2000 seconds. So later on we'll put this very low, so it will loop very fast and fluid. So the effect will look nice. However, putting it too low will slow down the animation as well because it's too heavy. So you have to find a perfect balance. However, don't worry about that. We're going to work on that later on. So first of all, what we're going to do now is we want to merge them all together. We can say here merge, and this will be basically a merge array where we merge these 4 together. The labels, or basically this one here, the data and the background color and the border color. We want to merge them together so that if we move, it will remember which color is which one. So, and the labels as well. So we never lose track of them, or they don't jump to any other value or any other bar. So let's start to work on this. So say merge, and here basically 2 ways, and I use this one, but you can use the other way as well. I'm going to use this constant here, labels, to start with, and the reason I'm doing that is because this has already the values here. You can do it also in the long way, but it will be a long code, but I will show you later on as well. It's not a problem at all. Alright, so we have the label, or the labels here, and then we say here the map array function. And with the map array, we're going to run through specific code multiple times. And here we can say, let's get here the label, comma, I. And what we're really doing here is that we're going to loop through every specific label. Right now it recognizes we have 7 labels in here because of this array here set. If you say, well, I don't want to use this, you can also remove this by just going here into my chart, and then you go to config, you go to data, and from data you go to labels. Maybe that's the one we can do as well. I'm going to show you that one, so it's exactly the same, doesn't matter. My chart dot config dot data dot labels. I guess that's fine as well. So we can use this one here. That will be fine. This is a bit longer and might become messy, but it's fine here. It's not that bad as it looks. However, so in here, what we're going to do is we're going to say here return, and what we want to return here is basically the following. We want to return every specific item that is matched with it, because it will loop through it here. And we're going to create here very specific item. We say here, we can start with the labels. So we say labels, and this should be a string, because basically we create our own object, and it will remember that these are always matched with each other. This is essential. This is really essential. Without this, you will not work. And then we say here, basically we can just say my chart, and then we say dot config dot data dot labels, and then we go here and say I. Alright, so that's the iteration here that we have. Once we have this, we can do a comma, and then the next one what we need is, of course, we have the labels, and then we have the data, the background color, and the border color. So how do we go here to data? Almost similar, but now it's from my chart to config to data here. Then in the data, we're going here into data sets, and data sets is array 0. Why it's array? Because it's a bracket. So array 0, and then in here we can grab data. That's what we're going to do right now. So in here, I'm going to say this, and let's give this a proper name, is data point, or data points. That's alright. My chart dot config dot data sets, remember, array 0 dot, and then data. And then we say here we want to loop through this and iterate it every single one of them. Once we have this, you probably figure out that we also need them for the background color and the border color. So I'm going to do it very quickly, because now instead of data, we just grab, or we replace the data name with the background color here. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to paste this twice more, so you're able to follow along. And then you say here, this would be, this can be the background color. I'll just give it the background color with capital C as well, that's fine. And then we're going to copy this, and then we're going to just replace this one here, including the capital C. Why? Because you can see here background color is also written with capital C. Same as border color, same methodology. I'm going to grab this one, put it in here, and just paste this one in there. So once we have this, we're all set here. So we can remove this specific comma. We don't have this anymore. So now we have this here. So if we save this, let's refresh. I'm not even sure if it works for now. Oh, it does, apparently it does work, but of course there's nothing here yet. So if I do here console log, you might notice that every second it will start to do something. So if I do merge this, let's save that and refresh. Do we have everything? There you are. You can see it merges consistently and it loops through it all the time here. But now it loops always through the data, and you can see all this data is again matching with each other. So that's beautiful. Alright, I'm going to comment this out, save that and refresh this because we don't want this loop to go on right now because it will use your precious resources. We're going to do this later on. So now we have this here, and then the next thing what we want to do here is the following. We need to eventually create here a new array based on these values, but they will be sorted. So this is very, very important. So we're going now next here. Well, let's go down here. Create here constant, and then I'll just grab here the values. I'll say here label will be LAB, which is a shortcut for label. And this is a blank array. And now we have another one for data points, what I will just call here DP. And then make sure you have a semicolon there. Constant for the next one would be the background color will be BGC equals array. And then constant here is border color equals that. Alright, BC for the array. So once we have this is a blank array, it does nothing at all. But what we want to do now is the following. We're going to create another constant, and this constant will start to sort. So we're going to give this constant value data sort. It will sort the data, and it will then grab all of these together and match them all together so they are always connected to one and the other. So we say here, data sort equals merge. This is the value or the variable. And then we say here dot sort, which is basically our sorting array method. And what we want to sort is basically this here. So we're going to put it here, and then we have to make sure that this is a function. Then we say here b, comma a, meaning here we have a and b, but what we want to sort is basically from high to low. So it's the highest value should be on top and the lowest value should be at the bottom. So that's why b to a. If you do a to b, it was from low to high. So then we have this here, and what we're going to do in here is basically define what's going on here. And then we say here the following. We say here return a dot, and then we say here dot the data points. And basically here, when we talk about the data points, we're going to refer to this one here. Because we have this object, we want the merge data points. So this is very important to understand because you can see here we get the merge. It understands now that a is merge, but then it refers to data points here with capital P. So we say data points, then minus b dot data points. So we need these numbers because they need to loop through each other to compare with each other which is the highest and the lowest. This is an essential part of the sorting function in JavaScript. And basically what it does, it makes so many calculations comparing every specific value here, like these. Here it will deduct it from here, and then it will know what's left over, and then eventually if it loops through all of these numbers, comparing every single combination of those, then it will know which one is the highest value and knows what is the lowest value, which is a quite complicated process because it's like hundreds of calculations in a single or in a split of a second. So now we have that. So what we're going to do next, put a semicolon, what we want to do now is basically a, well, what we can do here, just save this and refresh, and let's see what's going on here. Alright, so it will not sort yet. Fair enough. So what we're going to do now is what we need to do is we loop through all of these values, and then we're going to push eventually in here. And this is very important. So what we're going to say here is the following. We create a for loop. Say I equals 0, semicolon, not comma, but semicolon. Then I, for iteration, keep on looping through it with the data sort, which is basically this here. We will sort this data, say dot length, so we get a specific length out of it, and then we also say here I plus plus. Then we have this here. Once we have this, what we want to do here is basically push these specific values out of it with the sorting. So what we're going to do now is then say here, let's get the label, and because here it's sort and it's all connected with each other, it will eventually match each other with, or match everything with the same color, same label, etc., etc. That's what we're doing right now here. So say here dot label, and then we're going to push the value. So once it's sorted, it will push every single value in here, so it's always matched with each other. And what will we do? Basically the following. We're going to say here data sort. We grab this one here, or this doesn't matter, because basically this constant here dot, and then we say here, well, of course what we need to do is an I. We're going to grab every single value out of it. Then we say labels. So we push it in the labels, we grab the labels item here. Then the next one eventually is exactly the same, except this one will be not labels. This will be done on the data points. So I'm going to grab this, and here the data points is exactly the same. And what is the data points then? Is basically this one here. So once we have that, another one as well, I guess you know the drill now, so we're going to paste all of these in here. And then we're going to grab this. This one will be our background color, and this will be our border color. And here, what we need here is the value of that. This background color is BGC for background color, and of course we have here border color is BC. So now if we have this, let's see what happens. If I save this, will I get this specific value? Does it show? Not yet. Alright. So then what we need to do is here is to, oh, of course, why it doesn't show here right now, let me show you why, because we're not updating it at all. So it does something, probably in the console log it probably will work, but it doesn't update anything yet. Why? We didn't do update chart. So we want to do my chart.update, but here's the very important part. We need to update, and we need to put in these specific values or reassign what we have here. These labels here should be reassigned. So if I save this right now and I do just this console log, maybe we can even see something of interest here. Let's grab this one here so we can understand what we did here. If I save this, refresh. Alright, so you can see already it started to filter out. You can see Monday is the highest, which is correct. Tuesday is the second highest, which is also correct. And then Friday is the third highest, which is 12 as well. And then after that, it starts to get Thursday, Sunday, and then Wednesday, and final one is Saturday. So it already sorts it out nicely. And you can see it just keeps on going. So that is nice. So I'm going to save this now, refresh, so we'll stop now the console log. And what we're going to do here is the following. What we can do here now is start to update the chart. So what I want to do here is very simply this. We say my chart, and then we're going back here what we did here before. Let's grab this. I'm just going to grab this labels here, and I say labels equal what exactly? We're going to grab this specific value here, which is our new array. The next one basically is the same, but then with the data points. So we're going to grab here the data sets, and then we say data. And this one here, and then we say here what is the value here, the constant, that's that one, dp for data points. So once we have this, we can continue on with the others. One will be background color, and the other one will be border color. And this one will be background color was this specific value here. Let's copy and paste that, and border color is that one here. So if I save this now and refresh, and you can see now it suddenly works, although there's something wrong with the colors here, and I figure out that it might be because it's sorting a certain way. It might create an issue here. Well, alright, so that's alright for now. We're going to check later on what's going on here. So once we have this, what we want to do here, I'm going to just well, that one is fine. It doesn't change at all. So what we're going to do is the following here. We're going to create an if statement now, because eventually the array values are matching, but I think the only item that becomes an issue here is because certain values are identical. Although I'm surprised here something happened, so we're going to check later on why is that happening. So what we're going to do next is the following here. So we want to basically increase the value. So we say if, and then we can say here on the data points, because basically that's the one we're going to play around with. If the data points are increasing, well, what we can do is, let's do not an if statement yet, we can wait for that, But what we're going to do is just going to put in the specific value here. Let's say data point. And then what I want to do here is the following. Because what I want here is to pinpoint a certain item. Let's say Monday. However, if Monday is highest, but later on it gets lower, or if something else becomes highest, we cannot indicate here, for example, DP, which would be the first item here. So let's say we want to get the Monday would be this one here, this data. We say here data 0. And then we say here, for example, the following. We say plus equal 7. So if you do this and save that, you'll see what will happen. And now it starts to do something here. It starts to increase, as you can see. But what happened if something else has a higher value? So let's say here, I'm going to do this. Let's say plus 1. If I do this, plus 7. If I refresh here now, you'll see now it's starting to change. It starts to change here. And what is happening now basically is this. I do see that there's a color issue. We have to solve that. But it matches or it changes every time. And the reason why it changes is not because there's an issue. The issue is it only gets the solid code of this one. And that is becoming a problem. So what we need to do here is the following. I'm going to solve this right now by changing it. Because this must be indexed based on the label itself and not on the position. Because in the sorting, the positioning will be a problem. So that's why we have this if statement here. Oh no, sorry, not an if statement. We're going to put in here the following. We're going to use here, let me think, what would be the right one, is the index of. So what we will say here is the following. Let's get the label. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to show you this one. I'm going to grab this, put it in here. Then we say here, label dot index of, with capital O. And then in here, we're going to say Monday. So if you want to pinpoint Monday, make sure you write it exactly as in your label. It will indicate here the exact position based on this. So if I would just only do this and then do a console log, that would be even nice. Console.log, and just look here, which position is Monday. If I save this here and refresh, you see position is 0, and then it's 1, then it's 0. As you can see, it understands now the position. So this movement of the position is very important because now we can start to give it a specific value, pinpointing specifically Monday. So I'm going to copy this, put this one in here, and save that, and then refresh. And now we should expect Monday always to increase no matter what. And if I would do this, let's say Tuesday, and save that, refresh, now Tuesday should only increase no matter what. It jumps up, and then once it jumps up, it has here. Later on, we just have to check what is going on with our border colors. I'm not happy with this. However, later on. But you can see here now we have this here that works quite nice. So what we would like to do here eventually is to add up a few more. So let's put in here something else. We could do have one here Monday, and Monday is plus 2, for example. And then we have another one for Wednesday. And Wednesday would be maybe also plus 7. So if I refresh here now, you can see now it's starting to change gradually. Wednesday is jumping, Wednesday is going up here, and then here these two are competing for the highest value. Beautiful. So we have this one here. Alright. So now we have this. What we're going to do now is two things. First of all, we're going to check, and I guess maybe we need to have here a solid color like this just to avoid the issue. Or I need to double check what am I missing in the background colors here on the border colors. I'm missing something here. I'm not expecting that. Oh, wait, I guess I figure out what it is. As you can see here, border color, I have no idea what I tried to type here. This should be border color. Maybe that's the reason if I save this now and refresh. There we are. So now it's not having any issues, so it recognizes it. So we solved that one now. So what we're going to do here is this. Because this, you can see, is fun, but there's an issue here. There's no break on it. So what I want to do here now is a break. So basically a break is just an if statement where we say if it reaches a certain point of value at that very moment, we're going to stop it. So now we're going to do this. So that's the final part of it. And all we do is this. We're going to do an if, And this if statement will be following. You can grab here, for example, the item here, that's basically this one here. We can say here, this if statement, if this is, well, what we want to do is, if this is smaller than, let's say, 100, we want to keep on doing this. Or basically, we want to keep on increasing the value. And if it's not, it should stop. Very straightforward. So what we can do here, once we have this, we can do exactly the same here, but now for every other item. So we have Tuesday, let's get Wednesday, and then we have Thursday, and as you can see here, it's exactly the same. Then we have Friday, and here, final one would have 2 items more, which would be Sunday, or this would be Saturday, sorry. And finally, Sunday. And then I'm going to remove this, and then I'll say here, I'll just do a random, I'll just say this one will be increasing quite quick, but will hit, when it's hit 75, it's game over. This one to 100, that's alright. And this one, or let's say this one would be 90, this one will be 100. Then we say here 110. For that one, that's fine. We say here 120 for 0.5, finally, or some other one here, 140 for the one, and let's make this 130, and this one is 10. So now, if I save this and then refresh, you can see here now it's starting to jump, and as it jumps, it changes consistently until it hits a certain item. You can see this one is increasing quite fast. That's nice. So we expect this to be working, and in this one here it's slower, and as it hits this specific item, eventually the other items will start to match on here. Alright, so that's quite slow, so let's start to increase this. Let's make this 250 milliseconds. So if I refresh here now, you can see here it goes extremely fast, and this is quite interesting here. As you can see here, it goes very fast, and the tooltip is still readable, and you can see it jumps up and down consistently, and that's quite interesting because with this it's a real race bar. Can we do it faster? Yes, of course. You can pay attention here, it changed again. Can we do it faster? Let's do this on 100 and just see what happens. And I know that my computer is now starting to load heavily, because this is, of course, takes a lot of resources as well. So let's see here. Alright, there we are, and this is basically how you have to do this. And this is basically our entire race bar chart. What would be even nice here is to add an image at the very side here. So if you're interested in that, I have a specific video that I highly recommend you to do or to watch. This is on how to add an image on top of multiple data sets, which is exactly the same if you have one data set as well. Interesting and suitable for, in this case, with this race bar.